This is the XNC Podcast, your Xbox newscast featuring Colteastwood, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, XNC Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the XNC Podcast live. Happy 2022. It's finally here. The year that we've been waiting for. Every year we've been waiting, but welcome to the XNC Podcast. I'm Colteastwood, and we're live on the Colteastwood channel. This is a show I do every Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific time and 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you're all the way in the UK, it's 1 a.m. and you're still got that messed up sleep schedule from enjoying the holidays and hopefully not working. But somebody who never stops working is a good friend of mine and a special guest, Gaming Forte. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. When I ain't working, I'm at home with family, and that's another job. And then playing games is a third job. So always busy.
Even when you're gaming, it's work.
No, especially when you take it serious in certain games that you play. Like I've been playing a lot of Halo and doing a lot of rank matches. And I'm sitting there like, my teammates suck. Can I please get people to come in here and actually help play better so I can like rank up? So
you have to like,
it gets really serious over there on Halo, man.
You have
really
to do
serious.
your branching out and your reaching out to other people. Say, hey, come join the lobby. I need some help. These guys are no good.
I'm gonna have to throw the flare up on Twitter one day and say, hey, everybody come through.
Absolutely, yeah. When I see you on Xbox Live, you just have to send me a party invite. And
That's if you're ever online. You one of those people that appear offline.
Hey, now, come on now. Now,
you're not as bad as some people.
I'm not as bad as some people. I've tried to appear online when I'm when the work hours are over, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's been really great. We were talking backstage about backlog and like even when you're working, you got to work through this backlog. And I was telling you, Forte, like the backlogs are like games you don't really want to finish, but they're lingering. Give me one backlog game that's like really annoying you, that's like nipping at the back of your neck.
Honestly, oh man. So right now it's Mass Effect Legendary Edition because I did finish the first one, and 2 is my favorite one.
Yeah.
And I really want to play it, but it's like I know how it begins, I know how it ends, I know everything in between. It's more of just the experience of playing on the new console, but it's irking me that I haven't played it yet.
Bro,
like
half of it, half of it feels new. I played through last time you and I were talking on Xbox chat before you were on my show. I think we were talking about Mass Effect. We played on the 360 version.
Yep. Oh Jesus.
There was like half the game I didn't remember exactly, so it felt new. And Forte, like you won't realize this, but 3 might be your favorite, and I didn't think it was.
That's like, what everybody's been telling me.
I didn't know.
Yeah, me and shout out to my co-host Slow-Mo DPS. We were talking about this and we said people that experience what Mass Effect is now versus what it was then, with all the DLC, everything in this nice bundle of a package, it's a good chance that a lot of people are going to say 3 was their favorite because 3 is literally the complete game. It's literally it plays better than 2. Which
is strange. Yeah.
It's more of a high octane action game. So if you really like those Uncharted games and stuff like that, where it's just pure adrenaline, there's no story building. All the story has already been pretty much ticked into the corner. And it's like 100 miles an hour from the minute go to the end. And you didn't experience that horrific ending that they gave us, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm, you will probably look at this game and say, yeah, 3 is better than 2. And I'm kind of leaning that way from a lot of other people because I can just imagine just the overall encompassing of how the story and stuff went with it. Because I still think the most powerful part, other than the suicide mission in 2, I still think the end part of 3, when you're talking to all of your crewmates and stuff, it's like you're getting that closure from everybody. I think that is still by far one of the best.
That's the real ending.
Well, that is the ending. What you do after that is just trivial at that point.
Sure,
that is the true ending of like the story of your character. Now it's like that Master Chief. That was
people wanted the payoff, right, Forte? Yeah. And when you're in London, when you come back down to Earth and you talk with everybody and say goodbye. Oh, playing that, I've already beat that like 3 times, but playing it last spring.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That's literally the one game that's in my backlog that I have to get, and it won't be there too much longer. I plan on getting through that before we get into the February craziness.
I'll send you a DM like every 3 days and remind you to get on that. But the audience is here, of course. Over 200 people watching the show. They want to hear about new stuff, and so you got me thinking. What can you say about Mass Effect Next, as we call it Mass Effect Next right now? What do you think we get? What do you expect? Can they deliver?
Can they deliver?
You're like,
no. All right, no. See, that's like one of your babies right there. Can they do you want them to deliver?
Yeah.
But can they deliver? The BioWare that we had back then is nowhere near the BioWare we have now. Too many people have come and gone, too many directors, too many leads. It's a completely different team. What I expect from it is, I'm not going to say the Andromeda effect, because some people actually did like Andromeda and I don't know what's wrong with them. But I just think that they need to get back to the essence of it. They need to probably tie in more of Shepard's story. Not saying Shepard has to be in it, but it needs to be more of a linear line from this is what happened with Shepard, and this is the things that happened from that encounter that Shepard actually went through, where you feel like there's a tie to it, because there was really no tie to Andromeda and Mass Effect.
No, it was a whole different.
It was like a completely different galaxy. Nothing. Yeah, all you heard was
place like a generation after.
Yeah.
So like Ryder or whatever would have been young enough to be, Shepard's son or grandson, I guess. I don't really remember. I liked a lot of Andromeda, but I kind of see where you're coming from. It was the best playing
Mass Effect game.
It has the best combat.
It has the best combat.
So good.
But I look forward to what they end up doing with it. But can they live up to expectations? Oh man, I'm tired. I'm scared to say stuff like that, because we know what CD Projekt Red did to us when it came to Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, you're reading my mind. We're going to talk about Cyberpunk.
Oh, you got to talk about those
yeah, we'll bring that up. I just want to give everybody a heads up who's here at the show. We're going to talk about the Cyberpunk update. We're going to talk about the holiday situation. We're going to talk about what's coming into 2022 and how Xbox game studios and PlayStation game studios are kicking butt, head to head and neck and neck. It's amazing. We're going to talk about Game Pass in a really weird way. I can't wait to bring this up. Got some insight from Jez Corden of Windows Central. We're going to talk about some new IPs and a couple, like a new studio idea. Okay. And you and I are going to recap 2021 and talk about 2022. I got to get some supers, Forte, because they're coming in. Evil Bunny with the $20 supers. Thank you. He says, Bunny, money for blood for the game journalists, real ones on YouTube. That's not evil. We're going to say that's a good super. And shout out to now Mano Polymyth for the 450-pound super chat. It says, oh, Forte, I got you in some craziness. But he says, is this where all the smooth ballers hang out? And another one, he says, D's nuts got him. Smooth thanks to Manscaped on XNC. So next week, I am excited to share a sponsorship I have on the podcast to help make things better and just kind of fun what we're doing here. And I actually wrote up a really great ad read because I was on Xbox 2 last week. Mm-hmm. Those guys are crazy, Forte. Like, Jez does this ad read for Manscaped, and we were laughing our heads off. So I'm really looking forward to that. See, we got Jose Linares says, happy 2022 gamers of all systems. Hit the like button. And Jose is so right. Please, if you're enjoying the show or you think you're going to enjoy the show, because this is Colt, and I'm here with Gaming Forte, Forte. I only call him Forte.
I wasn't going to correct you this time.
We don't want to get formal, but sometimes the full name or Mr. Forte, the fourth Esquire, right? If you think you're going to enjoy the show, close up the chat for just a second. Hit the like, show your support. come right back to the chat because the chat's on fire. Some of my favorite people are here. And if you see me waving on camera, just get an idea. I'm checking on the chat and I'm seeing people saying hi, and you're all friends. So we've got a lot to talk about. Let's see. Nanopolymyth's got a couple more. He's having fun with this mask. You know, I smell pretty good. I use some of the product today, but we'll talk about it next week. He says, you like to meet baller, you like them smooth, get X&C Manscaped. So maybe he's writing my ad read for me, but he says nothing becomes.
Did you see his ad read on Twitter?
He's saying nothing comes between my chums and plums thanks to X&C Manscaped. We're getting closer than ever. Yeah, so he's I think Nanopolymyth wants to get in the marketing business where he's going to write some commercials.
He did a good job on Twitter today.
Yeah, he did one for my show, and
yeah,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. But yeah, shout out to over 350 people watching. Thank you for checking out the show. Let's get into talk about Cyberpunk. I kind of cursory read over the Cyberpunk update. I'm a little half and half on how excited I am about the update. I've already finished the game. Forte, lead us on what's going on with Cyberpunk.
Oh man, so
did you dig into it?
I looked at it and I skimmed through it because I was sitting there like, okay, is this the update of updates, or is this just more piecemeal stuff until the update comes? And I was sitting there like, yeah, I don't really care about this, because tell me when my X patch is coming, tell me when my PS5 patch is coming, and then we can talk. Because
I mean, this is like a 1.5 Forte. No, this isn't like the actual.
No, this is not anything.
So they're actually giving content, though. Did you read that there's going to be like a combat zone?
Fix the game first. Why do I care about the combat zone? Fix the game.
Yeah,
we supposed to got this. Okay, let me ask you something, Cole. And this is just my love of CD Projekt Red and loving Witcher and wanting to play this game, because I have this game on my hard drive, but I refuse to play it until this update comes out. This update,
you haven't cracked it yet at all, then?
No, I haven't. I bought it day one. Didn't return it. I was like, you know what? They'll fix it. I'm just gonna let it sit on my hard drive, and it's been sitting on my hard drive since December of 2019.
Oh,
Is it 2019? No, 2020. December of 2020.
yeah, 2020. Yeah,
it's been sitting on my hard drive since then. Yeah, it feels like 2019, but it's been sitting on my hard drive. So when I saw this 1.5 that you claim it is update, I was like, oh, what? New combat zone. Oh, new ways to play the game. Oh, how about you fix the game first? And then I want to play your game. And how about you give me my next gen update that I was supposed to get last year, that got delayed into the end of the year, which guess what? We're in 2022, which is, what is that, Cole? Is that the end of the year or a new year?
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate for you, Forte.
Yeah,
maybe,
please.
Maybe one, the devs are excited to share new content they're working on, and they don't want to wait till it's all done. Number two, and I agree with that. I think that's okay. Number two, which I don't agree with, CD Projekt Red probably doesn't want you to forget about Cyberpunk, so they're trying to keep it in the cycle. But I'm with you, bro. Just give us the full patch. Just tell us it'll be done when it's done, because it seems like half of the hardcore fans are waiting like you. Either they haven't cracked it, or they've played through a lot of it or all of it, and they want to play it again like the way it should be played.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing for me. It just comes back to, like, I don't know if you've seen it, but a lot of the stats for the game came out of how it did in 2021.
I don't remember.
It was one of the most sold games of the whole year.
Jeez.
Think about that. All of these games that released over, I mean, granted, 2020 wasn't the greatest year. Well, 2021 wasn't the greatest year for a lot of big blockbuster games. But Cyberpunk came out in December. It was delisted on a whole platform, which is not just any platform. We're talking about the market leader, 120 plus million consoles out there, not even available on their store. Still ended up being in I think it was top 5 or top 6 or 7 most sold games of 2021.
Just won an award today.
Yeah, just won an award today. Also, you would think, and then this is what people say, oh, I returned the game. I just think there's a bunch of secret, Cyberpunk fans out there that just say, they just wanted to be part of the in crowd and say, oh, that game's trash, I returned it. But then they're secretly hiding offline playing the game. That's what they're doing, but that's what they're secretly hiding offline and playing the game. And I'm not knocking anybody that does that, because if you enjoy the game, you enjoy the game. I play broke games all the time. That's Battlefield 4 was one of the most broke games I ever played. And
we all play broke games lately, don't
we? We play them, and that's fine. But the fact that that game was still it was not only one of the best-selling games, it was one of the most played games in 2021, which is also crazy because everybody said they hated it. So
they were lying. Flame with the $5 says, I couldn't wait for Cyberpunk to get fixed. I refunded it. Yeah, maybe he did. Yeah, he did. Maybe. To buy Yakuza the Dragon instead. I haven't looked back. I would try it on Game Pass one day. So I wonder if that will actually come to Game Pass.
You can get it for cheaper than Game Pass right now.
I don't think it's going to come to Game Pass.
Like when
you talk about how much it's sold, I think no way. Gaz from Game On Daily is one of my best friends. He's been a channel member for 11 months. Gaz, you don't need to be a channel member. Like, I'll buy you lunch. Anyway, he says hit the like button, peeps. So yeah, it's 430 people watching. We've got 140 some likes. So let's get that up. We want to get that up to 500 so that people can know that Colt and Forte did a decent job tonight on the XNC show. We've got a lot more to talk about. That's the Cyberpunk update. We're all kind of 50-50 in the who cares department. But one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because you're awesome and we always have a good time talking. Absolutely. But you're like you were elbow deep in the retail stuff this holiday, and I wanted to talk about how the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series consoles did from your perspective, from like your retail perspective, and because it's kind of strange that the consoles are super hot and they're selling really well, but they're still difficult. So what can you tell us about what it looks like from your side of the counter?
I think there's a misnomer out there that these systems are just, you can't find them. You can find these systems. You just got to go through a lot of hoops to get them. Depending on the retailer you go to, it could be like, shout out to my homeboy Slow-Mo. He got his at Kohl's. Who shops at Kohl's for a PlayStation 5?
And he got Kohl's Cash.
I think he actually used Kohl's Cash to get it. But who goes to Kohl's to get it? So, and then you got places like Sam's Club and Costco's if you got those. BJ's.
My friend got his PS5 like a month ago at Myers, which is like a department store. And well, you're from the same
Myers.
State.
Yeah, we have Myers.
Yeah.
So but it's like the systems are available. It just comes down to the timing of people. What people want is they want to be able to walk into a store and buy one. That's the biggest thing. You want to walk into a store and buy one. Now, there's a lot of people that don't mind going online and get them, because that's probably the majority of the way people got their system is through online, except for the initial launch of them. So I do think there is a fallacy around that, but I also know that these systems are available, like especially over the holiday. We've been sitting on, like, I want to say consistently, probably for the last month and a half, a lot of PlayStations and a lot of Xboxes they came, at least through my door. They really did a good job of like sprinkling those out throughout the holidays. And what other people don't know is they're available. GameStop usually sells them every week. Like they have them available on their website. At least if it may be a week here and a week there, they don't have them. But every week they send out emails to their pro members and let them know that those things are available. And if you are a pro member, you'll get that email telling you exactly when it's available, if it's in store, if it's online, if it's in a bundle, or however you can get it. That week you'll know exactly how to get it. And then they just started having them in stores recently because they know a lot of people are going to be shopping in stores. I don't know what that's going to look like for the beginning of this year going throughout the year, because, retail definitely does die down a lot once the holidays end. But for the most part, if you really, really wanted a system, you could get a system over the holiday. But it's just the fact that it's not something that everybody has access to. Like people just want to walk in, like how the S is. You could walk into Target probably right now, walk into the electronic aisle, and there might be 2 Series S's sitting right there on the counter.
I saw that like 3 days before Christmas Eve. Saw 2 Series S's, and nothing else, like some headsets and controllers, right?
Yeah,
for any platform.
For any platform. So that's kind of what people want the Xbox, the Series X and the PlayStation 5 to get to. And in some instances, the Switch, because the Switch is the same way. You know, they have a big hurdle to climb with, especially with the OLED, trying to get that out too. So I just think that people just want to walk into a store and buy these things, and they don't want to be forced into buying bundles. But let's be for real. The reason these retailers in like GameStop does it is because they know that gets them more systems. You know, the more that they sell those bundles for PlayStation and Microsoft, the higher margins they get. And if they do higher margin, that means Sony and Microsoft looks at them, it's like, okay, we're going to send you more. And if we send you more, I mean, because that's just 101. It's like, you know, they all like their attached numbers. So, you know, when first, what did Nintendo do? The first moment they got a chance to say, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild had 120% attach rate to the Switch. People were buying that game that didn't even have Switches because they couldn't even find, because they just bought the game, but they said, I'll buy the game now. I can't find a Switch. So the attach rate was super high. That was the first thing Nintendo said, where we sold more games than we did systems, which is crazy. And all last generation, people kept saying, well, PlayStation has a 8 or 9 game attached to every person that buys a system. And that's the reason that retailers do what they do. If they sell more of the items, then they get more of the product.
Well, Forte, weren't we already in this mess before the chip shortage even started? Because when everyone got sent home and we were in the global lockdown for the pandemic, like you couldn't even buy an Xbox all digital that no one wanted. You couldn't find a Switch for a long time. The PlayStation 4 and Xbox One X were sold out in stores. I don't know if you remember back this far. It's not really that far. But
it feels that far back.
Because everyone's like home. And I know this, like, I have a lot of guitars in here, and even guitars are hard to find. Everything's hard to find. My neighbor just ordered a truck, and he doesn't even know when the truck's going to be done. So you got this chip shortage. Everybody's at home, so they're buying puppies, they're buying guitars, they're buying consoles, they're buying vehicles. It's a mess.
Why don't
so
you?
I gotta ask you a crazy question.
Yeah, what's up?
Were you getting a lot of Series S's in your store compared to PS5 and Xbox Series X?
Way more.
Yeah, and
way more.
So
it tapered off the closer we got. So I think so I think those systems are readily available. I do think the S was more available than anything else because that's the system that Microsoft wanted to say. They wanted that system to be available. Part of the reason I think a lot of retailers kind of held stock on PlayStation 5s and Xboxes closer to the holiday because they knew that was the season that those people were going to buy just because they needed to buy it. S's were going to be available no matter what. I know on Thanksgiving Day, my store had a lot of S's. And I remember sitting on a lot of S's through that whole weekend. And guess what, Colt? When that weekend was over, all those S's were gone. Even though people were looking for X's, people were looking for X's. They were looking for PS5s. I kid you not. I was looking at my back room and I was like, man, this would be a really good picture to put on Twitter. It's so many S's back here.
Oh my God.
I said, it's like a wall of S's. I'm like, yo, this is a lot of S's back here. And then, but then I can't take pictures of my back room because you get in trouble for that. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, this would be a really good picture for Twitter. Then I was like, yeah, but these will all be gone by the end of the week. And guess what, Colt? They were all gone by the end of the week.
Yeah, now I got to say something that could get somebody in trouble, but I'll say it. I heard it from this person who heard it from this person. That way nobody gets in trouble.
Oh, okay.
Phil Spencer was given a choice whether to try and crank out more X's and get more X's to the hardcore fans or to crank out more Series S's. And the other part of this information is for every Series X, they can pump out 2 Series S's off the manufacturing line. So Phil Spencer made the choice to get more S's out to the retail and get more players onto the Xbox platform without them being held off by a supply constraint. And for all the hardcore fans that still want an X, because I do a lot of videos about Series S and X exclusives, and I get a lot of comments like, who cares about these new games when you can't even find a freaking Series X? So I know that the hardcore, like 10 to 20% of the gaming platform on Xbox wants an X, but Phil Spencer made that choice to get more S's out in the holiday. And obviously he doesn't care if they outsell PlayStation 5. That wasn't the target. Sounds like he just wanted to get more players to not be held back away from the ecosystem from supply constraint. But I've got some super chats to get to here.
Yeah, because I will definitely answer that question and tell you if he was right or wrong.
Okay, well, how do I remember to ask you that again?
Well, I'll just tell you.
Go ahead.
He was absolutely right for doing that. You want to know why he was right for doing that?
Yeah, yes,
Colt,
preach it.
Colt, do you have an S in your house right now?
I absolutely do, yes.
I have an S in my house too. It's my friend Slomo, he has an S in his house. Probably about 50 to 70% of your chat right now, they probably have an S. They probably have it as a second system in another room in a different part of their house. It might be their vacation one. Like, shout out to the Ash and Luca. She has an S that she left in California. So when she goes traveling, she has it to go see when she goes sees her mother.
Shout out to Luca for going on vacation and not wanting to leave behind a console.
Not wanting to leave her gaming behind. Shout out to her.
That's awesome.
I just think the reason that was a good decision is because hardcore gamers, no matter what, FOMO is real. If you people want a next gen console, if they can just get the next gen console, and like you said, the console isn't the means to an end for Xbox. It's about Game Pass. You can get Game Pass on an S, and that's the only thing that they care about. So Phil is like, well, if it was about just building the number of systems we sold, then they probably would want to have more X's out there. But they say, no, it's about Game Pass, and Game Pass can be played on anything. So what system can we produce that can get more Game Pass into people's houses outside of being on PC, which is the S, meaning you're going to double your production on that, and it's going to give more people the opportunity of being in that ecosystem. And then what will also happen is, if you are one of those people that have an S and didn't get an X yet, you will either trade in that S towards the X when you finally do get one, or you might just bite the bullet and say, you know what, I'm just going to keep the S. I'm going to buy the X, and then I'm going to have both systems in my house. And you double dipped. So he absolutely made the right decision.
Yeah. I tried to buy a second one. I used to have one right here next to my Series X and PS5, and I wasn't using as much, so it went over to one of my kids, and then got a couple of 1Xs in the house that I kind of wanted to trade, because GameStop is giving like 300 in-store credit
for X,
for a 1X.
330 if
well, if you're not power up, if you're not power up,
you should be a power up member. It's free at that point.
Oh yeah, well,
it's literally $15 for the card. It's literally $15 for the card. If you're trading the X, it's $300. You're going to get $330, meaning you're making $15.
Dang, you're a good salesperson.
You're making $15. I don't even at that point when a person tells me they don't have one, I just say, "Hey, what's your email? We're going to sign you up because I'm giving you $15." And they say, "Oh, okay,
that's cool." Yeah, I kind of want to do that because I've got two 1Xs. I don't want to talk about how many consoles I have in this house. It's a problem for
Is it more guitars or more systems? Which one you got more?
I think it's more systems. It's pretty crazy.
That is
two switches. Yeah.
As long as you ain't got more controllers than systems, then we're good.
I'll just dodge that. No, I'm just kidding. I do have like 8 here, and then
speaking of which, where is I see that Forza one? Where's the stand?
I don't have the Forza stand. You mean the pink and yellow one?
Yeah, the charging stand. You can't have that controller without the stand. It's incomplete.
Well, I guess
I have one in my store if you want one.
Yeah, well, I'll have to make a trip over and see you. How about that?
Oh, yeah, we got different ways of getting it to you. Just let me know. But every time I'm just gonna let you know. Every time I look at your background and I see no stand back there, I'm gonna bring it up.
All right, well, duly noted, man.
All right.
Tell you what. Yeah, Xbox sent me that controller.
They should have sent you the stand too.
So maybe I should yell at them, huh? Yeah, we got Sigan Koali with the 450-pound super chat. Thank you, Sigan. He says, have you heard of an FPS survival horror game, Ill, which is Unreal Engine 5 behind it? Check it out this year. Ill, I have not heard of that. Forte?
No, what is that? Sounds like something disgusting.
FPS survival game. I don't know. Hey, Quada Global with the NGN 800 says, hey, Forte. So
what's up?
Awesome. Xbox Gamer 83 says, hey, Colt just bought X-Men Origins Wolverine for 360. I'm assuming that's back compat.
It is
back
compat.
What's the look at the Forte's on it. He says, what's the chances Game Pass is coming to Switch being true? I don't think Nintendo's ready for that, but we're going to talk later in the show about how Nintendo is sort of partnering with Xbox. We'll get into that in a little bit. Let's see. Flame said in the chat, "Come on, man! You think I'm frauding that he got a refund on Cyberpunk? We know you're telling the truth, buddy. Right, Forte?
Right?
No, I'm just kidding.
I need to see that receipt, bro. Take a picture of that return
I'm just saying,
receipt.
Forte's he was looking at the number. No, I'm just kidding. Target Johnny, thank you for the $5. It's the second year of XNC. Yeah, we are. This is episode 34. Forte, like you're a newbie in the XNC.
No, I've been on here twice, man. How many people could say that?
That's there's a couple of people been here twice, but you came in a little bit late. I wanted to give you a full show.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah? Shout
out to Rand for saving the day that day.
Oh, Rand, he's crazy.
Daylight saving times killed me that day.
I hate daylight savings. Argue Johnny's the second year of XNC. Looking forward to a great year for you, Colteastwood. Happy New Year, bro. Time flies, man. Slow-mo backslap your buddy. Slow-mo's great. He's with the $5. He says Forte has no problem with people hiding offline to play Cyberpunk, but whenever he hides offline, he says, I never hear the end of it, shaking my head.
Listen, I only hide offline because I am told to hide offline because the people that I'm playing with are hiding offline so they can't be seen by the people. So they say, hey, I need you to hide offline because I don't want certain people to know that you're online.
Oh my gosh, you're a man for the people.
Listen, man. I went straight to my settings and I clicked it and I was like offline. And then I forgot to turn it back online.
Yeah,
so slow-mo comes into the party like, oh, I see Forte hiding offline. And I was like, I'm not doing it because I want to do it.
I'm being paid to do it. Ricky Falon with the $10 super says, I was given a $130 Meyer gift card. I use it towards a PS5. So my PS5 cost me $400 cash. I've passed up on numerous chances of buying one, but not this time. So he must have recently got one. Dub, who's been a channel member for 7 months. If you're a channel member, you get custom emoji badge next to your name. I drew up some cartoon versions of Xbox Game Studios characters. So Dub has the Ori icon and says, Happy New Year. Looking forward to 2022. Goodness, Xbox has the offer ready for Redfall and Starfield. What are you looking forward to the most? That's a quick question. I'll ask Forte because I'm really looking forward to Starfield the most. What are you looking forward to the most on all gaming platforms this coming year?
Is God of War actually going to come out in 2022 or is it going to be 2023?
I think it will.
I think it will. If it's 2022, then that's what I'm looking forward to. It was my game of the generation, last generation. It was one of the few games that made me put down my first child, Destiny, in the video game terms. So
I see.
That was my first. Yeah. That was my first and only.
Anything to get you off of Destiny.
If it got me off of Destiny, it's my favorite thing. So hopefully that does come out. But if I had to pick something Xbox related, I'm more looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with Redfall, because I like that whole co-op type of gameplay and stuff. And they haven't let us
coming off the heels of oh my gosh, just blanked on the TV show that everyone's watching, the vampire show on Netflix. I haven't even watched it yet. I heard it's kind of that it's pretty creepy, but oh man, I can't remember. Chat, help me out.
Either. Tell me which one was
what's the show on Netflix that is about vampires? Everyone was talking about it. I know as soon as they say it, I'm gonna smack myself in the forehead. All right, well.
I think a lot of people are looking forward. Yeah, George Foreman says Elden Ring.
Yeah, a lot of Elden Ring.
I am looking forward to Elden Ring, but the thing about Elden Ring is I was looking forward to Sekiro.
Midnight Mass. Thank you guys. Go ahead. You're looking forward
Midnight
to Sekiro?
Mass. Oh, shout out to Rand. Rand loves that show.
Yeah, Rand does. Yeah. Yeah,
I think Rand is now a TV connoisseur. He's not a video game connoisseur anymore. He reads books and watches TV all the time now. So the man with $1 million is about to be the man.
You know him so well.
That's all he does. I talked to him the other day. I was like, yo, what are you doing? He said, man, I'm not really playing games right now. I'm just reading books and watching Wheel of Time.
Yeah, that is totally Rand. Yeah. Midnight Mass. Yeah, that was the show.
Yeah, I heard it's really good.
Let's see one more. Lord Star Killer, thank you for the $5. He says Happy New Year, XNC in chat. So Lord Star Killer's talking to the chat too, which is nice. I just sent him today. It's going to go and ship a XNC hoodie that he won.
Nice.
I do a monthly giveaway for merch. I pick a channel member or patron from at random and send them a link and say, hey, pick something you want from the store. And that's how we do that. So I'm doing another one because he was playing catch up, and then I'm doing another one really soon. So
you guys are
anyway,
really good, really nice looking merch.
Yeah, it's fun to I bought like 8 or 9 pieces of merch from my store so I can wear them on the show. And now when I go in my closet, it's like mostly what I have in there. Let's talk about this. Some people get so goofy about who they like or don't like on social media and YouTube, right, Forte? But I like Foxy Games because he does like the he represents the PlayStation.
You might get in
his
trouble
audience.
for saying that.
Yeah, but he tries to put out the information, and we all do that, right? But he put out a list of all of the PlayStation first-party studios and how many games they were working on. And I could pull up the tweet right now, but most studios for PlayStation right now are working on at least 2 projects, 2 games. And so he had a listing of I don't know what it was, almost a dozen studios that are working on first party games. And then I turned around and replied, Forte's dropped out. I'm going to add him back. Yeah, everything's good?
Yeah, don't know what happened there.
Okay, just making sure. There was a minute there where my brain went, he's good, right? Yeah. But anyway, he put out this listing of first party games, and I got thinking, I think Xbox has at least 1 or 2 games per each studio. So I put out the listing, and when you look at it, there's some numbers missing, Forte, but PlayStation has probably 22. I'll just round up for him because he's probably missing something. PlayStation has like 22 games in the works from first party, excluding all third party offers, which there's so many massive exclusives they're working for. And then Xbox has like 25 or 27. Like a lot of people are adding ones that I missed. So it's pretty crazy how many games are being worked on right now. And we're already seeing a bunch of them. So I don't know if you've ever kind of broken this down before, but it was one of those things where you pit PlayStation versus Xbox. But I think in the end, you can kind of step back and go, wow, these two are pushing each other hard right now.
Yeah. I'm looking at his tweet. Guerrilla Games has 3 games. Insomniac has 3. Sucker Punch has 2. I mean, when you sit back and you look at Japan studio that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah. I mean, now it's supposed to be, is it Fire Sprite? No, I can't remember what they're called.
Is it? It's the team that does that did what was the packing game for PlayStation?
Astrobot.
It's the people that developed that. I can't think of their name. Ooh. Asobo.
I want to say Asobo.
It is
Asobo. Is that the same team that made Flight Simulator?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that is right. Asobo. This is terrible.
But I'm thinking the same thing, Forte. I'm thinking the same. You might be right.
Is it Asobo? Let me see.
I'm going to look it up.
I'm looking it up right now. Astro.
Robotics technology. Where is it?
That's what the internet's for.
Yeah. Internet. What is it good for?
Astro Playroom was created.
Yeah, no, Asobi. That's why.
Asobi. Okay,
that's why.
They're close. They're close.
Yeah, good enough. Yeah.
It would be nice if Xbox bought Asobi. Then we could take something away from PlayStation again.
Oh, they're talented. That Astrobot game's awesome.
Best thing that came out there. It was the best. Honestly, I tell people it was the best launch game. I mean, granted, Spider-Man Miles Morales was a really good game, but I enjoyed Astro's. I couldn't believe I felt like I was 2 years old.
You were right there. I'm right there with you.
I felt like I was 2 playing that game. I was like, yo, this is great. This is like Christmas Morty.
Yeah, I had a lot more fun playing that than I did Miles Morales. But part of Miles Morales was like, I did this in 2018 with a different character. And but Astrobot just surprised. I had a smile on my face. People make fun of that. They call it a 1 hour pack-in game.
Did you blow into the controller?
No. Yeah, I did. No. No, it's I don't know. They've just got all these studios working, and there's a lot to look forward to. People haven't quite figured it out, but I don't know. I think it's going to be good. They've got Xbox has 27. I'm going to say 27 games in the works right now, and a couple of those are like finishing up, like Grounded, and they're still supporting Halo Infinite. And, that's mostly like the stuff that we already are playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nuts.
The question is how many of those games that they are creating are, because you see he has hashtag PS5 at the bottom of them. How many of those games are exclusive to just PlayStation 5 though?
Well,
do you think
you just put me into territory of, there was a little bit of an argument going on today, Forte, about on the Twitter.coms about who has more exclusive to the next generation platform games. And PlayStation has so many games in the works for 2022. Xbox has 15 or so.
Yeah.
But the difference is PlayStation's their biggest exclusives are on PS4. God of War Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Forbidden West. Their biggest tentpole franchise games. And this is one of those things that Matt Booty gotten so much heat from the media and from fanboys for saying that we're going to support the Xbox One generation 1 to 2 years into the cycle. And then Jim Ryan said, we believe in generations. We're cutting you off. Your controllers don't work. The games will only be on PS5. And then they were like, Miles Morales is going to be on PS4. It was quite a change. And maybe did they pivot because they knew the PS5 was going to be hard to get? Or was that always the plan? To just sneak in the PS4 version?
I think the plans did change because you also got to go back to Jim Ryan saying that we want as many of our player base to move over from PS4 to PS5. We want to do that in record time. Yeah, and the only way you're going to do that in record time is if you have a lot of systems available. But we also got to remember that statement was made before a pandemic literally hit full stride in the world. So I never really held them to that type of rhetoric when they actually said that. I do think that's why Xbox has been very careful in saying where those games are going. Do I think that because as of right now, Fable, Redfall, Skyrim, Starfield, they're all listed as next gen titles. They don't even have a moniker for Xbox One on them. We know you'll be able to play them on an Xbox One because of the whole cloud gaming that they have available. But as of right now, natively, they don't have them listed. So they're kind of playing a game of cat and mouse, I believe. Well, let's see how the systems go. We're not going to announce that these are next gen only. We're just going to put a moniker that says Xbox Series S and X. We're not going to say that it's going to play on the old systems. So if we do have to say that these games are coming to the old systems to be able to get more monetary gain, we didn't promise that they were coming to next gen. Whereas PlayStation came out and said the next generation starts now, and these games for Horizon Forbidden West and God of War and all of these games can only be played on the PS5. And now you're starting to see that a lot of these games can be played on a toaster, and there just happen to be a next generation system that you wanted to put them on. So that's kind of the difference. Xbox is learning a lot from their mistakes of their messaging from early in the generation, where PlayStation is basically just doing what they have to do because they felt like they got blindsided by I think they got hit by the pandemic a little bit harder than Microsoft did because they were already out in front with a lot of their manufacturing almost a year ahead of Xbox. So I think that was the big thing for them. They just thought they would have way more because their numbers were saying 15 million in the first year. And they only got 8 million out, 8 or 9 million out. So they missed that number by 5 or 6 million. So that's where I think they said PlayStation is going to be, pushed by PlayStation 4 for the next 2 to 3 years. Xbox said we're going to support Xbox One and Xbox One S and X for 2 to 3 years or 2 years. But none of their big games even say they support it. And if you think about it, right around the time all those games start coming out is when that 2 years would be up for Xbox. Starfield, that's 2 years after the Xbox 2 years after the Series X came out. And they already said they're only supporting for 2 years. So that could be part of the plan.
I wonder if Redfall is next generation only.
It's listed as of right now.
Yeah. So, they just did that first year. Here's a weird question for you, Forte.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up, Colt? Who do you think gets more? People got so mad when I asked this on social media. But who do you think gets more consoles out of the manufacturing system. I don't know how to say it. Who do you think gets more off the line and pushed to retailers? I don't know if that's the right question.
No, I know what you mean. You like who's the one that produces more consoles?
If you're looking at the PlayStation 5 manufacturing warehouse right here, and then over here is the Series S and X manufacturing. You got the door open, and you're counting as they come out off the line. Like, who is making more? I mean, nobody knows the answer, right? People got mad that I asked, like, how would we know this? But I don't know, like some of the sales figures, is it telling a story? There's a bunch of Series S's that are in like overstock and then they all sell out. Like, what do you think?
So I think in general that if you're talking about manufacturing, I do think Sony still to this day produces a little bit faster than Microsoft does. I do see PlayStation's hit. Now, if we're talking about just the high-end systems, the X and the 5, the X and the PS5 and Series X, I think Xbox is a little bit behind in that regard. And it even comes back to the fact that when we see our shipments for those, it is a little bit less than what the PS5 is. PS5 always has more. If it's only a little, it's still more. I see more... see other retailers have PS5s more than they have Xboxes too. I just think it's just a dichotomy that PlayStation isn't splitting their development between two different types of systems, where it's as with PlayStation, it's either you want a disk drive or you don't want a disk drive. Most retailers are opting to have the disk drive because you can't sell physical games if you don't have a disk drive.
That. So like a Target's going to want to get an allotment of the digital, the disc version, so they can sell all those games they have loading the shelves in electronics that do not sell.
Right, exactly, and they just have the option to sell digital ones if you want. So I think the fact that their development isn't split, they get more PlayStations off the line, whereas Xbox can get more S's off the line. Like you said, for every one X, they get two S's. I think in totality, Xbox produces more systems. It's just not the high-end system that everybody wants. That's at a lower yield. Yeah.
They really do want the X. It's a complaint I hate to see on my comment section. And I also see people disinterested in gaming news in a lot of ways because they're frustrated. And I trust me, if I was you out there who can't get a Series X or a PS5, I would not want to listen to that news nonstop, especially the way I am. I have to have the console. You know, I was up till 1 a.m. trying to get a PS5, and when the Series X dropped, my family, we were all on our own devices and computers trying to get me a Series X. Like that had to happen, right? So right. I feel you. Let's talk about Game Pass subs. This is such a great
Game Pass.
This is such a great discussion because Jez Corden of Windows Central and Xbox 2 Podcast believes that Xbox is not quite to 30 million yet. They're still seeing year-on-year growth, some 41%, which is really, really good. But one of the things that comes up, Forte, is the people who don't like Game Pass like to knock it and say it's not profitable. Okay, here's the best part about what Jez said. He said, remember Netflix for the first 8 years of business? They never made a profit, right? They were losing money. They were in the red. Then he gave me this little tidbit of information. I'm a huge fan of this service. I started subscribing a year ago. I use it every day. Spotify is how I use my music. I pay a monthly fee. I have access to all this music and new music I discover. And it's a big part of my life when I'm gaming or when I'm just doing my thing, right?
Right.
So Spotify is important. He said Spotify still has not turned a profit in their whole existence. And they are one of the largest music streaming platforms on the planet. So Forte, put some perspective on these guys about how Game Pass is not profitable.
Well, this is the thing. Game Pass, to you, it may not be profitable. Even to Microsoft, it may not be as profitable as they want it to be. The biggest thing is, it's just like you and like YouTube, Colt. Your YouTube channel is probably profitable for you, but how much of your YouTube channel how much of that money do you put right back into your channel?
Quite a bit, yeah.
You put it right back in there. So as much as, I'm in the black, I'm also putting that money right back in, which puts me back in the red until I make that money back again. So Xbox, literally every subscriber, every microtransaction, everything that comes from Xbox is being put right back into that service. Those games that like you think MLB The Show 21 was free to put in Game Pass? You don't think that Xbox with the MLB was like, yo, let's stick it to Sony and let's do this. And who knows how much money it was. Same thing with we always talk about how Outriders was one of those games that was amazing for Xbox to get. Mm-hmm. Now, Xbox didn't do that. Square didn't do that out the kindness of their heart. It may have been a cheaper price to put it in there because it was an unknown game or something, but they still paid some money to put that in there. Right. So in general, you're always going to have this give and take when it comes to like our profits are here, but then how much are we spending to go back into these other games? That's why I think once Xbox first party starts wrapping up, the money that you're going to start seeing is going to be more your money, not the money you're giving someone else to help you bolster the platform. What are we going to get from our game? So when we get Redfall in there, then we get Fable in there, then we get Starfield in there, and now you're thinking about your games are curating that service, which means you're not giving money away. All you're doing is receiving money on that end. So that's when I start thinking. That's why I always tell people when Xbox can get to that prediction of a AAA game every quarter, then you will see Xbox Game Pass in the black completely. But I also think that truly won't happen until Xbox does something about the PC side of it when it comes to their lackluster support on the PC marketplace. Because that marketplace, as much as it works every once in a while, is still very rudimentary compared to the other offerings. At a certain point, they might as well just offer Game Pass on Steam and just like EA does that. They have EA Play on Steam, meaning you could just pay Steam for EA Play and still download those games from there. So I think that will probably be a better opportunity for them, which will actually bolster their sales a little bit too. But some people keep forgetting that game, and I'm gonna let you go. Game Pass, as much as that is their biggest focus, selling those games on PC on another platform, do you know that 3 or 4 of the top selling games for the holiday were Xbox games on Steam?
Oh yeah. Number 3, number 5, number 7.
And number 7. Yeah. And that's of all of Steam. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of games sold over the course of a 3-month period. The top 4 games, 3 to 4 games. It beat
Genital Jousting and Shower with Your Dad too.
Yeah. I mean, Boyfriend Dungeon too. Boyfriend Dungeon got beat too.
Yeah. I like that idea. Just fold it right into Steam. Let Steam take care of the storefront, and or just copy Steam. What the heck? Like Steam's one of the best storefronts.
I think everybody wants to copy Steam, but the thing is like Nintendo at this point. Like, it's like they're so ingrained into the gaming sphere. Unless Steam messes up themselves, you're not really going to overtake Steam, because it's just like with Xbox and PlayStation. You see how hard it is to get somebody to move off their Xbox or move off their PlayStation because they have a digital library that they're tied to. Steam, your library is literally thousands times bigger than what your console library can be. Yeah. And so I just think trying to be the next Steam is kind of something you shouldn't try to strive for. You should want to be a complementary thing to Steam, or run your service through Steam. Give Steam a kickback on whatever that subscription model is over there. You lose some money in the interim, but you'll gain more people overall, because who wants to actually pay for their games if they don't have to? And people that say that they like buying games and they like supporting developers, I get it. Developers are being very well paid by Xbox and by PlayStation and by these studios to produce these games. That is built into the marketing campaign and the actual development of those games. Only thing they get more money for is if the game performs on particular platforms, which if it's in a service or you can still buy it digitally or physically, the game will still sell no matter what.
Yeah, and they really need to fix. It's so weird when we say Microsoft can't get the PC storefront like in order. Like their literal foundation was getting user ability and UI and user friendly. Like, what happened? I don't know. I think they just kind of lost their way, and Phil has said that they need to do better in that space. But what's taking so long? I feel like you get some.
It's not a priority. It's not a priority yet. That's all.
It needs to be a priority, and we've heard that. They're pushing hard on cloud gaming, and they pushed hard on PC gaming last year. They need to keep working on PC, but
yep.
I don't know. They've got a lot of games, and with all those games, which we're going to talk about some of the new leaks and rumored games that are coming, but with all those games, they have to get all that right. And Wolf Assassin with the $5, thank you, Wolf, says, all right, Colt, which games do you think could or should appear at E3? I think Xbox fans need to see Fable and or Avowed. What do you think? This is actually a topic for the show that we will get into in just a little bit, Wolf. So I will get right back to that. But I've got to ask Vorte about Special Nick from Xbox Era has been talking a lot about Killer Instinct and Rare's IPs needing to be utilized for Xbox. One of the reasons why I'm bringing this up was earlier I talked about how many games are in the works, and over half of Xbox game studios are working on new IPs and the others are established IPs, but there is a literal gold mine of Rare IPs waiting to be used. One of them is Perfect Dark, but what do you think? I don't know if you're like a big Rare fan, but what do you think Xbox needs to tap into from their library of tentpole franchises from like the 90s and stuff?
So a lot of people want them to bring Banjo back, stuff like that.
Yes.
I definitely want. Listen, one of my favorite clips is still on my Xbox to this day. Shout out to Xbox Studios when it was actually good in the beginning. I made a Killer Instinct clip of it was like Happy New Year's in 2015, and it was me doing an ultra combo with Janko, and it was my whole kids was in there. Had the little screenshot. That's where my love of editing came in. I was like, "Oh, this is so cool! You can do this with a console." And it was with Killer Instinct, and I was like, the one bad thing that happened was that the fact that Iron Galaxy got the rug, well, not the rug pulled from underneath them. They did get purchased by, I believe, what was it, Amazon? Is it Amazon?
I think they were.
Yeah, they were purchased by Amazon. And
they did the Borderlands 2 remaster as well. They were really good at what they do.
Yeah, so I thought them losing that studio, they did a really good job with Killer Instinct, and I really, really want that to come back. We know Perfect Dark.
Sounds like it is. Have
you
heard this?
I heard it. I just like, who's going to work on it? Is the question. Right. That, like, because that was why a lot of people, honestly, let's be for real. That's the reason a lot of people want the whole, no one really cares about the WB stuff. All they really want is NetherRealm. They just want Mortal Kombat, because guess what? If you can get Mortal Kombat, then that means you also have somebody that can work on your Killer Instinct, and they know that and with Killer Instinct being the type of game it is, it would lend itself well to the Mortal Kombat universe with fatalities and stuff like that. So I can literally see a crossover in the making being for something like that.
Huge.
It'll be a huge crossover.
You can't forget about WB bringing the Batman license, and WB bringing Monolith. It's working on Wonder Woman. Like, this is like tailor made for Xbox to purchase.
It is. But it also goes back to the fact. Okay, so we gotten past Xbox being risk averse when it comes to like IP like that, something that they don't control. Because, well,
I mean, they're not controlling the Bethesda IPs; they're letting them.
They control it. They just letting Bethesda be Bethesda. But let's be for real. If it can, you don't think Todd Howard still got to go through Phil Spencer and say, "Hey, this is what we want to do"? They still got to go through Phil Spencer. They still got to go through Phil. Like, anybody that listen, Bethesda is hands off. They're treating Bethesda like they should treat Bethesda. Hands off. Allow them to make the games that they want to do. Just fund the piggy bank. But guess what? Where do they got to go to get the money to fund the piggy bank? They got to go to Phil Spencer to do it.
That's true. But you know, there's quite a bit of confidence for Bethesda's teams. Like,
absolutely.
And Matt Booty and Phil Spencer, and they've talked about how they're letting the studios do what they want to do. I do wonder what goes on behind the scenes when you know, like, I guess I can't think of any games that Bethesda would be working on because everything's kind of already vetted out. They already were striking the deal with Indiana Jones. They had already been working on Starfield when they were acquired. But I just have to wonder, you got not so tall Todd Howard next to not so tall Phil Spencer, and these guys are like juggernauts in the gaming industry.
Well, they're best buds.
Yeah. So I think
that's the one thing Todd Howard said. He was like,
I don't think it's a hard sell. That's what
one of the reasons Todd Howard, he said it was kind of said that he said in an interview that the reason that he was okay with going to Microsoft is because Phil Spencer was going to be around. Like he wanted to make sure
still be there. Yeah,
he would still be there. He didn't want to go to be a part of Xbox and then the leadership change. Now, I do think the leadership will change at some point in probably not the near future, but by the end of this generation, I could kind of see 4 or 5 years. Sure. I can see Phil Spencer taking a kind of a back seat, and I do see. I
was gonna say who's gonna take
we already know. Spot. Now, you already know who's gonna take her spot.
I think I know
she's being groomed as we speak.
And
she, like the fact that she was at the head of all of the different announcements and stuff that's been going on in the background for marketing and e-commerce and stuff like that. I think that's just a way of giving her more introduced to the business side of what the Xbox is than anything, because she's more on the developer.
I think most people really like Sarah Bond, and I think most people can see that she really likes games and she's passionate about building games. And when you say like they're introducing her to the business side, like she's kind of like Phil, like software and games first, and I got to run the business as well.
I got to run the business
instead of Don Matrick, who's like all about the business. Like he saw the numbers. We were talking pre-show, you and I, about VR and Kinect, and like Don Matrick saw Kinect could just take over the living room and take over houses across the world, and they sold 10 million of those. And then when you get into Xbox One generation, you're like, this isn't really what we were all here, with the Xbox branded on our heart, right? So
you want to watch NFL on your TV through your HDMI pass through.
Oh,
I thought that was I actually thought that was pretty cool.
It all was actually really cool.
It was actually cool. Let me ask you, I do want to ask you that. Do you think,
hey, this is my show. What are you interviewing me? No,
were you really upset at what Xbox did in 2013?
Yeah, actually I was.
So
I was, but
what?
I'm totally transparent about this. 2013 May, I watched that thing. Xbox One, stupid name. I don't want another Kinect. I already have one. I only use it for Dance Central. I didn't like any of the games they showed. Nothing looked cool, and I just don't. Not liking it. And then by spring, almost a year later, my friends went Xbox. I was going to go PlayStation because that's who I was going to be playing with every night. And the reason why I told you that whole long story is, I liked the Kinect not a camera, because I never used the camera, but the voice commands, the connection to everything, everything was. I really liked the Xbox One, and before I was repulsed. So, I think a lot of people think that way. I wasn't as upset about it, and it was mostly like the thing that upset most people was the always online check-ins and stuff like that. I didn't care.
That didn't bug me because my Xbox I always looked at it as, if you're an Xbox gamer, you probably 90% of the time are online. So this really doesn't affect you. Right. I do think the watershed moment was, if you don't have internet, there's a console for you. I think that wasn't the most smartest thing to say. But I agree. The games, it was some good games, but it wasn't something that really spoke to, like, it wasn't what you expected from a next generation system that was debuting, and then when you finally got into the games, a lot of the stuff was just cross-platform stuff like we pretty much got over the last year. But at least this time around, the fidelity and being able to see like 60 frames per second versus 30 frames per second, it was more tangible versus last generation. It was just like a mild bump from 580p to 720p.
Yeah.
If you're on PlayStation, you probably got 720p. Xbox 560.
Oh my gosh,
it was terrible.
Can you go back to those days? On New Year's, every New Year's we get out the Rock Band gear.
Ooh,
and I have a 360 that still works. It'll never red ring because I repaired it myself with my friend. And we had a really good time. And for some reason, I couldn't find my Dance Central disc, so I couldn't even buy the game. So I'm not in the store. But we were talking earlier about the cross-gen stuff for this generation. And Hargeet Chani with a $5 super chat says, very likely PS4 was always in the plan, but PlayStation wanted to cash in on the Matt Booty statement as it worked, as most players bought it. And I think what Hargeet's saying is that
fake.
Yeah, like we wouldn't do that to you, PlayStation fans.
They ripped it out. They ripped that price by $100. They was like, "Yo, we ain't gonna do what Xbox just did."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is one of those things where you capitalize on what you see as a weakness. But the weird thing, like we talked about a while ago, is that their PlayStation's biggest games are cross-platform. So it's really what matters for that narrative at that moment to get. I feel like there is a difference. Sometimes PlayStation rallies their fans to fight the good fight, and then Xbox tries to give you this, like, whenever he plays, we all win, and it just doesn't work that way. Nobody is that perfect. But
I agree.
So yeah, Lord Starkill said he'd like to see a Microsoft include Game Pass sub numbers on a weekly update. Thank you for the super chat, Lord Starkiller. But I think Xbox is not sharing numbers for a reason. They also did not share numbers for Halo Infinite, even though it did really well. Like sales are really high. Maybe it didn't look good compared to how big Forza Horizon 5 got.
That game fell off a cliff.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, that game fell off a cliff over the summer.
Was it because they jumped everybody in the beta for online and they no-lifed it for a month and then played the campaign and then they were like, okay, all that's done?
I think there's a multitude of different things. I do think I think the beta did do something for that, because as much as a lot of people play Halo for the single player, a lot of people I will probably say more people did not play for the multiplayer now. I think not having co-op there, a lot of people want their first experience to be with their friends. They want to go through the co-op with them. I know people that purposely did not play the single player just because of that. And the fact that even on the reviews, I think you guys did a really good job on your reviews talking about the things that happened in the game and your thoughts and analysis of it. Yeah, I don't think that had a big sway in it, but I do think just the narrative around the game in general. Like, most people were shocked when they heard that, the campaign's actually really good. Like, I know I was waiting for a dumpster fire. I was like, yo, I'm going to play the game anyway because I love Halo. But when I started hearing the calmness of people saying, yo, this is like a really good campaign. It's really structured. I like the story. And I'm like, a 343 game? Are we serious here? So I'm like, okay, so I'm more excited to play it.
I figured they were due, but yeah, I was
they were definitely
pleasantly surprised.
But I do think a lot of people, we are the mouthpiece for the wider majority of the gamers that are out there.
Yeah.
When we weren't excited for it for a long time, I mean, it's kind of hard to move the needle over an entire year, 365 days, where everything about Halo is negative.
Oh,
like everything, like rough. Literally the whole year was negative, and you took a fever pitch on November 15th and said, hey, now you can play the multiplayer. Multiplayer is free for everybody. Campaign comes out on December 8th. And during that 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you expected the whole narrative around Halo to change. I think that was like asking a lot. Especially when the game wasn't fully complete. So I don't think we won't see people really truly appreciate Halo until later this year, once we start getting all that stuff, or maybe until we get the next standalone DLC that's going to bridge onto the story that we finished with Halo Infinite. Then you'll see people more appreciate it more.
Yeah, take you to some biomes that are different and expand the game and make it bigger than it's even bigger already. I wonder how much of that was our expectations were lower, and we were surprised.
I think that had a lot to do with it.
But it was good. It was good. Yeah, hit the like button if you're enjoying the show here with Forte and I talking. We've got to get into these newer games. We got to talk about those. I got a couple super chats. There's well over 700 people who are watching the show. Thank you for checking out XNC Podcast. If you're here live, this is on the Colteastwood channel. You already know that because you're here, but if you're listening after the fact, We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other places like that. So you can check out that show on demand, totally free of charge. But so we got, let's see here. We have Spider with the Norwegian 50. Thank you so much. He says Xbox Play Anywhere are the PC games I don't buy on Steam. And I also buy games on Steam once in a while too. I bought a lot of games on Steam a few years ago, but hopefully they fix that.
Did you play?
What's that?
How many of them did you play?
Almost all of them.
Nice.
There was a couple years during the Xbox One era before the One X came out, where I 2 years where I played mostly all my multiplats on Steam on a brand new PC I built. So I was kind of I learned a lot of lessons. So I learned that I can't stand 30 frames, and I learned the tinkering problems drove me crazy, but I had a really good time. And now I've got it. Now I've got it all. Like, the new consoles are amazing. Matt McDonald with media from with the Canadian $5. Thank you so much. He says Xbox needs to bring back Banjo. Nintendo fanboys be buying series consoles and Game Pass subbing left and right and center the day that happens. So Banjo's bigger than I want to admit, but I don't know. How are you, Johnny? With
Conquer?
And Conquer. I saw in the chat there asked for Conquer as well.
Conquer.
I don't know. I say this on my show a lot. I've said it on a bunch of podcasts. I don't know if I told you, but there was a 10-year period when the Nintendo midway through the Super NES until the Xbox 360 that I wasn't really a gamer. I played a few games here, had an old PlayStation 1 and never owned a PlayStation 2. So there's like this 10-year period where I wasn't really concentrating on gaming. There was other stuff I was doing. And so I don't know Conquer and Banjo like everybody else does. So they give me a hard time when I say that stuff. But Hardy Johnny with the $5 says if Xbox is interested in buying WB Game Studios, they need to buy the whole thing, Discovery and WB, to own the IP. Forte,
yo,
is this gonna happen? Like, is Xbox gonna buy a really big studio like WB one day and grab all these IPs? They have their hands full.
No, I think. Well, could they do it? We didn't think they would make the $7 billion move that they made a year ago. So it's definitely in the cards for them. Do I see them massively doing anything like that soon? No, because I think they want to focus on the studios they have. They want to get some of those games out the door, and once they do that, it would make them more attractive to a lot of these other developers that might want to be purchased. Because you got to think, like, do we think Insomniac is worth $200 million? I think they're worth more, but they sold for $200 million. You know
why?
But let me tell you why they sold for $200 million. They sold for $200 million because they had a really good working relationship with Sony, and they know Sony was going to back them on everything they wanted to do, and they knew Sony was about making the type of games they want them to make. That's why they get a big discount. Like, does Xbox get that same discount? Probably not, because they don't know what the stylized of what Xbox wants them to do. So they're thinking like, well, if Xbox is going to buy us, we probably want to sell for $400 million instead of $200 million.
Yeah, 500. Yeah, it was 250, I think. But yeah, they would probably sell for
$250 million.
And you know what, Forte, you have to wonder what that working relationship was with the old Xbox hat working on Sunset Overdrive. Maybe it wasn't a super fun partnership. Because I don't like that old Xbox team. That sounds rude, right? But I didn't agree with what they were doing back then. So maybe Insomniac just didn't enjoy that.
Well, developers didn't like it either. So let's be for real. That's why we're all happy that we have Phil Spencer and Sarah Banks, and we have all of these Matt Booty. As much as people give these people crap for the games over the course of the generation, it takes a long time to turn a ship.
Yeah,
and that ship is massive,
now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is really good. Mo B with the $5 says, Colt, I love the show. You think Microsoft would buy WB Games, which goes in with Hargeets. He says, everybody hit that like button, show some love to XNC.
Everybody wants WB.
I know they do. I know they do, and you're right, because they want to have. They want, as fans,
Batman.
I know, as fans, they want that sellability, right? They want to be able to have that bragging right the same. And they want that. They really want that.
Bethesda wasn't enough.
The superhero. Bethesda wasn't enough. They want the super. I'm with you. Like, imagine this, Forte. You got You got like the dark little Xbox console that's got Batman.
Fact.
And then you've got the bright, exciting PlayStation, which has got Spider-Man and Wolverine. So you kind of have like this moody and broody like standoff. And then you get Wonder Woman too if you buy WB. So Xbox, buy WB. Just start work. You know what? And here, I'll say this. Like people ask about acquisition season. I had Special Nick on like several months ago, and we talked about acquisitions. I know PlayStation or Xbox fans want Xbox to buy a big studio, but you have to remember that if you're going to buy something, Sarah Banks, he meant Sarah Bond. He knows who Sarah Bond is. So,
did I say Banks?
Yeah, but you're just.
I probably did say Banks.
So, sounds like a villain name. It's great. I lost my train of thought. If you're going to buy a big studio like that, if Xbox was doing it, they're talking about it right now. They're drumming up paperwork. We wouldn't hear about it for a year if it was even happening. So, like, we get to hear some interesting news and tidbits, right, Forte? And like, you didn't hear about Bethesda like anywhere near that time. Like that was so secretive. So we just had to be
there
patient.
was rumors of it in 2018. And that was it.
And it took 2 years.
It took 2 years for that to happen. It took 2 years for them to announce it, 3 years for it to actually become official.
Jeez.
It
did take 3 years for it to finalize.
In March of 2021 when they did.
Yeah, I feel like it was like summer 2018 we started to hear about this Bethesda thing. So Xbox was probably making those talks a long time ago, and it takes a while. The other problem is somebody's got to buy WB for somebody else does, like Tencent, and that's all out of our control.
Yeah, that's out of our control.
Wolf Assassin with the $10 super says, question for you guys in the chat. Millie A said earlier this year, I don't know who Millie A is. Said earlier this year that Xbox locked a major third-party game as exclusive. Which game do you think it is? I wonder if it's Wonder Woman or Splinter Cell remake. I doubt it's Splinter Cell, but Monolith has worked with Xbox quite a bit, and they partner with them in marketing and helped with a bit of development for Shadow of War, Middle-earth Shadow of War. So I would love to see Xbox have a discussion with Monolith about timed exclusivity or something with Wonder Woman, because I think that could be a big game. What do you predict Wonder Woman could be like as a video game?
Wow.
Think Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor.
That's what I'm thinking.
I
also know that they're making a Star Wars game too.
Jeez, that could be really good.
Monolith is making I believe they're making a Star Wars game.
Man.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. All I think about Monolith, man, is the whole Nemesis system. It's something like a Wonder Woman game would be incredible, because now the tech that was built on was already good. Like you could literally see the difference between Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. They really did refine it a lot in there. But to know that they had 2 or 3 more years to actually
it was bigger,
vet that out a little bit more. And then you have, outside of just being orcs that, just have names and stuff, or you have real villains and stuff. I think that would be really crazy. I do think the Traversal will be really, really good, because they did introduce her flying through. Remember, she wasn't flying, she was gliding through the air in the movies and stuff.
Right.
So I do think she's falling gracefully, but I do think having those type of things, they can actually build a really, really good open world. Now the question is, do you want it to be an open world game versus a linear style game, like something like more akin to Batman? Do you want it to be more Batman, or do you want it to be more Shadow of War?
I don't know. You can get the best of both worlds by doing it more like Batman Arkham City, which
that's real open though.
But it's like Guardians of the Galaxy is amazing.
That's crazy. Yeah,
I don't know. I think the games are kind of evolving, and right now you're kind of getting the best of both on these games. Open world games feel like they're more manageable. The linear games still feel really great and take you to different locations. So I expect good things from that.
Yeah.
Before I get into these 2 secret new games, one of the new announcements is that Undead Labs, working on State of Decay 3, is opening up a new studio in Orlando to help with animation, and it's led by a expert in animation and video games that's worked for EA for like a decade. working with like UFC games and the sports titles. And this person's LinkedIn information leaked on social media, and Clobril tweeted about how they're opening up this new studios to work with other Xbox Game Studios teams to do better animations. One thing that State of Decay really needed was a more robust animation set. I don't know if you played State of Decay 2.
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad game. It was just one of those games that's like,
it just
this could be done so much better.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There's like things when I played Days Gone not long after State of Decay, like Days Gone, like he uses a knife and he pries into the hood and he pops it up and he reaches in there and he looks like he's grabbing something. And then you compare it to State of Decay where your character goes and a circle fills like, and then, UI circle fills, right? With some noises like, and it's so weird that those little things, right, Forte, those little things matter when he opens a drawer like they do in Red Dead and Last of Us and all these other games, like where they open a drawer and they reach their hand in and it just kind of fakes it, but it kind of it keeps you connected to the game as inconsequential as it is. But
right, I agree. You said a really good one when you were talking about Last of Us. Remember when they showed the first? No one thought it was gameplay. They showed the trailer with Ellie, the one where she threw the bottle at somebody and she ran underneath the car, and it was like this whole cinematic one cut scene.
Too perfect, yeah.
It was perfect,
yeah.
But it was like, look, everything interacted with everything all the way down to when she shot him with the arrow in her arm and ran up on him and shoved him with the other arrow and killed the guy. I was like, yo, this is perfect. There's no way this is gameplay. What was that, Colt? When we played that game and we was like, yo, all this stuff you can do in the game, it takes a lot of timing to do it. And I saw some of the best memes and gifs out of that, like, falling backwards, sliding on the ground, shooting a clicker while it was running at you. And I was like, yo, the animation in that game was so incredible. It made you want to play the game.
Yeah, it's all about Assassin's Creed 1 was the first game to really do this, but it's all about creating multiple animations and chaining them together in context. So when Ellie throws a bottle, that's a throwing animation. And then when she runs and slides under, you get in proximity of under the car. They don't show the UI, so it doesn't look like gameplay, but you press square and she'll go under, or whatever it is, a circle to go under the car. And that starts an animation that's canned and the game is taken over for you for a moment. She pops up, you're back to control. And then you go and grab someone, you get close enough to hit triangle for the melee animation. This is what video games do. If they're really good, they hide all of the behind the curtains things that make you feel like you're actually doing that. And so what State of Decay needs, because it basically is a single A indie that has now been created as a sequel, with more funding, and they only went part of the way. They wanted to do a AAA game. Now they feel like with State of Decay 3, they have the money. They definitely have given it the time, and now they have built out a studio where they can collaborate with other animation experts to create a much more immersive State of Decay. State of Decay does some things that most zombie games don't do because it has all the survival stuff. It does it really well. So I'm hoping to see good things from this State of Decay studio or animation studio. We don't know what it's going to be, but people give these job. They want to pound their chest about what they're working on, and they end up kind of leaking some information that's not supposed to be public yet. So that's what's happening with State of Decay 3. Hopefully they're ready to show something this year. Here's one of the games that is pretty much almost confirmed leaked out now. And I don't know if you've talked about it on some of the shows you've been on, but Nintendo is working on getting GoldenEye 007 on the Xbox. We don't know. We have achievement listings. We have achievement art for the Xbox. So it's totally legit. But Forte, is this a port? Is this like a true to the 64 version on modern consoles port or modern Switch and Xbox? Is it like the game we've always dreamed?
It better not be a port.
What do you think it is?
It better be more than a port. I don't need
with that gun going.
Yeah, I don't need a port with bad controls.
You got that.
Look, I remember GoldenEye because GoldenEye was great back in the 80s. That's when it was good back then.
I got a barbecue lighter here. You always got like the AK in the game, and he's like,
yeah.
And you know, back in what was it? 97. Is that what it was? 1997.
Yes, it was 1997. Yeah.
Now I wasn't in gaming, but my friend owned a 64, and we played hours of it. And I know people are like, oh, you know, Randall Thor was saying, you know, you got rose tinted glasses. You're like, oh, it's so amazing. But it was amazing that we'd never seen anything like that where you shot them in the head and they would drop from a headshot. Like you didn't really get that in first person shooters. Like
I think it would be cool to be able to play that game with a proper controller.
Oh, hated the 64 controller.
That's what I'm saying. That's because shout out to
go to Best Buy and that little dinky thumbstick was always like totally broken.
Exactly. So yeah, it would be nice to play. I think that by itself, as long as the game plays, they can keep it. I do think it's going to be a port. It probably shouldn't be a port. I mean, the game is so old at this point that they should do a little bit more TLC to bring it up to like, you know, modern times. But it
might be ported to Switch and Xbox.
And that's what I'm thinking is going to happen here because Nintendo's like, we ain't going to just put a port of one of our biggest games on just your platform and it can't play on ours. So
yes. So we have to keep our expectations in check about how to look. And
it's gonna be fun though. Do you think it's gonna have fun?
Like,
do you think it's gonna have fully featured multiplayer, or is it gonna be one of those games that's gonna be local co-op only?
Put cardboard on your TV to split it into 4 quadrants.
Oh Lord, yeah. Don't look at my screen.
Oh my gosh, like that, it just has such a pedigree of what games became because Halo came out like 3 years later probably.
Yeah, 3.
Maybe it was 3 or 4 years, and that changed first-person shooters. So I think it really is Doom or Wolfenstein. Doom is the one that really like went mainstream, and then GoldenEye was so huge, like everyone was talking about it, and then Halo became the other first-person like pioneer.
Halo was the one that gave you the actual understanding that modern FPS can be played on a console.
Yeah.
That's when it all like because FPS was always it was playable on console up until that point, but Bungie found a way to make the game feel amazing on the controller.
Yeah, I just wonder who I remember learning on the controller playing Halo 2. It was a comic experience for me.
Was that your first one, Halo 2?
I played Halo on the PC because I wasn't quite into gaming.
Oh, you played the original on
like
PC.
3 years later, I got an Xbox original, and it came with Halo 2. I bought it from a coworker, and I was playing Halo 2 in those opening missions, and I'm like, you know, and my brother-in-law was trying to teach me. He's like, when you walk upstairs, you want to go like this with the thumbsticks. And then when you turn the other way, you want to go like this. And I'm like, huh? It's like, what? But then once you get it, you get it. But
yeah, once you get it, you get it. You're right.
This GoldenEye thing, like they did the GoldenEye Reloaded on the 360 era. I think it was only on 360, if I remember.
It was only on 360.
And people didn't love it at all. It had Daniel Craig as the main character. It was nothing like GoldenEye 007. And
it lost me when Pierce Brosnan wasn't 007.
Yeah, it just wasn't the same game. But, you know, a lot of people are like, you're going to go in and do the damn level. You're going to drop down into the toilet cubicles and the toilet stalls, shoot a few bad guys, and then you'll get to the end of the level and you're like, yeah, I'm done. Like I tried to play Quake when that came to console a few months ago, and I'm like, a couple levels, I'm done. Tried to play Doom 1, I'm done. Like some of these games are really old. I feel like we could talk about the rare IPs, Forte. If you're going to bring them back, you have to have a killer team. Just totally reimagine them.
Who would make them though? Because Rare, they pretty much been on the record saying they don't want to deal with. They want to make new stuff. They don't want to deal with the old IPs. And at a certain point, as much as people want Xbox to do something with them for their platform, and I 100% agree with that, I just don't want them to be sitting dormant, not being used. Like, if you're not going to use them, license them out to like Nintendo. Nintendo will definitely use them. At least people get a chance to play those games, because I would love to play another Conquer. I would love to play another Banjo-Kazooie. If Xbox doesn't see a plan in them doing it themselves, license it out to somebody else to do it.
We're already seeing that, a good and bad, because I was talking last night to a friend about Battletoads. They had this De La La Studios, 4 people make Battletoads, and I actually really enjoyed that game, but that was not how you return Battletoads. Battletoads, another rare IP. They gave it to a small studio. Battletoads should have came back to Xbox in 2019 or whatever year it was.
Yeah,
it should have came back with textured reptilian, all this great. It had to blow your eyeballs off. Not come out to look like it was animated for Saturday morning cartoon. I do like that
better
game.
Than Brute Force.
It should have looked amazing.
Right.
And the funny thing is, Crystal Dynamics is now helping Initiative make Perfect Dark. So
that's gonna be
Xbox
good.
knows those rare IPs are worth something, because they're actually not letting them lie dormant. The other one is Viva Pinata.
Oh my God.
Viva Pinata, with the right studio, could be a Animal Crossing for Xbox.
I was going to say that it could be an Animal Crossing for Xbox, the whole guarding simulator where it's low management, low maintenance, and you could just build as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if that game hit during the pandemic? Because let's be for real, Animal Crossing was great, but it was even more great because it literally took people's minds off of the one pressing thing that was happening.
And it connected them to their friends. Like Xbox wouldn't make Viva Pinata without coming into your friends' gardens and helping them build. And it could be amazing. It could be an amazing service-based game. And I'm not even a big Viva Pinata fan, but
I agree.
Rare has some really goofy IPs, but they have a couple that are pretty big.
So a question I have for you. We were talking about Doom.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know that, we got Master Chief, we got Doomslayer, AKA the man with the other mask. Do we think we're going to get, I know we're going to probably get another Doom first before anything. Do you think Xbox will ever venture into that realm where we get a Doom and a Master Chief in the same game? In some form or fashion, do you think it will ever happen? I don't know. I'm just saying, but it's one of those things that could happen now.
Right now, their animators and designers should be working on Doom Guy as a downloadable character to play on Halo Infinite.
I agree.
You know how many they'd sell of that? Now,
I agree.
They're already going to put Doom Guy in Fortnite. That's already being that's already in the works. So, like, if you load up Halo Infinite and you can buy the Doom Guy gear for your online character, that is just money waiting to be spent.
A lot of people said it would be done in a MOBA. I can see that. Huh? In a MOBA type game, it could be, especially if they want to bring something to the PC side of the spectrum.
Jeez. Yeah, they also need to bring.
That's a gold mine right there, bro. When I see, when they first purchased them and I saw all of the gifts of Doomslayer and Master Chief, I was getting goosebumps, man. I was like, yo, that's something.
You don't have to ask for permission to that. You just work it up. It could be a big deal. If you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button. We're at just over 400. So yeah, we're having a good time. Over 700 people who watch the show with Forte and I talking here on the XNC podcast. Hope you're enjoying the show. We have got 2022 coming up. Yep. I wanted to ask you about which game. We kind of got into this earlier, and this is that super from where I remember his name. Let me get to it. Wolf Assassin. Thank you, Wolf Assassin. He wanted to know which games you think Xbox will show, and I did a tweet about Fable and Perfect Dark, but I'm not very confident they're going to show those. There's a lot of games that they need to show, Forte. I don't know if you could think off the top of your head. There's some big ones. What do they need to show gameplay at this E3?
So we need to see Forza Motorsport,
which I think we will.
I think we'll see that. We definitely need to see that. Me personally, I do think we finally need to see exactly what Hellblade is going to be.
Yes.
We need to see that. Because as much as they said that Hellblade was running an engine, it was gameplay, it still can be construed as like, was that really gameplay?
We needed to see the combat.
We need to see the
totally
combat,
revamped.
because that was the biggest thing about the game was the combat. Is the combat better? That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
And I think, they're definitely with the money that Microsoft put behind them, it will be. So I do think we need to see that. Outside of that, I know we'll get a really big deep dive into Starfield. We know we're going to get that because it's coming out later that year. And then after that,
there's somebody, I can't remember who. I think it's Jamie Moran on Twitter said that Skyrim was shown 5 months before release.
It sure was.
And Fallout 4 was shown 5 months before release. Yeah. And then E3 is 5 months before November. So
you will. And I truly believe outside of some crazy thing happening, Starfield is going to last on that date because that's a date that they're trying to line that up kind of with how they did Elder Scrolls 5 of Skyrim with the whole 11-11-11 thing. So I do think they want to hold that date. Outside of that, though, it really just comes down, like, I do think they kind of need to show Fable at this point. It really just comes down to if they're doing like anything like, are they going to bring back the Xbox experience? Are they going to bring that back for the end of the year where they could talk about some other stuff like that? Do they want to like table some stuff for later in the year? I do just think that at a certain point, games that they showed off over a year ago, and at that point we'll be talking about 2 years since the last time they showed anything for Fable. I think at that point you should definitely show something on that. I do think that Avowed at that point, it should be something probably shown about that, even if it's something just going over the overworld of the game, showing a map of how huge the game is going to be.
Yeah, we need to see something outside of like a cinematic.
Exactly.
Imagining.
If they're going to show you a funny trailer of Outer Worlds 2 and basically make fun of every pun out there by saying that we don't even know what the main character of these games is going to look like, they can definitely give us a trailer on something that they actually been in development for more than 2 to 3 years.
How long has Fable been in development? I thought it was like 2018, but at least 2019.
Yeah, at least 3 years. They said they were like a year into development when they announced when they actually showed that trailer. So we're talking almost two years after that. So it'll be 3 years by then.
And I need to remind the chat that Xbox has pretty much stood by a model that they want to show gameplay the year of release, and they don't like to show gameplay earlier than that. And they've pretty much stuck to their guns on that.
They have. They need to break that.
What you and I are talking about right now, Forte, is that Fable could be due to be shown if it's a 5-year development cycle. If they're taking longer than that, it's not normal to go beyond 5 years development. Right. So doing the math, like I was counting on my fingers, that Fable could be a 2023 game.
That's what
my friend Randall Thor 19, he thinks it's probably closer to 24. But
I think that too. I think it's going to be the end of 2023.
I mean, if they do, and I'm totally with you, and I would be happy with that, not totally satisfied, if they show like a in-engine, in-game, like fly over the world and maybe show what the character models look like in engine to give you an idea. Then next year is game, next E3 is gameplay, and the game comes out in holiday 23.
Yeah.
But
I think Avowed and Fable are the ones that definitely need to at least have a little bit more light shined on top of them, outside of the ones that are 100% need to be known, which is games like Hellblade and stuff. That's a given at this point because they showed the game off so much.
Here's the weird thing, and a lot of people are asking about these 2 secret games. There's quite a few games that are unannounced. There's a couple games that are unannounced that are coming out. One is Pentiment from Obsidian, that's Josh Sawyer's non-combat game. But when you look at the math, like Hellblade's already shown gameplay reveal. This is so weird to say on my show, but we shouldn't be shocked. Like our jaw shouldn't drop off our face if Hellblade comes out this holiday. I don't think it will. But Avowed is another one that just Gordon's seen behind the scenes. They're probably going to show gameplay at E3, which means that you can't like fall over and die if Avowed is set to also come out in the holiday of 2022. But I think Avowed would probably land somewhere mid 23. Like these games are coming fast because we've been waiting a long time. So when you're asking about when are we going to show these, yes, Avowed is coming out before Fable. Is that where you're sitting?
Yep.
Forte?
Avowed will be before Fable.
Yeah.
They won't be in the same year either.
Yeah, that would be weird. But at this point, the other funny thing is, Forte, is
you're running
Xbox
out of time.
can afford to put out a couple of similar games in the same year because, I mean, it wouldn't kill them, right?
Well, they did.
It's not
they did that with Forza Horizon 5 and Halo a week apart from each other.
Yeah, they did. So I wonder if that hindered Halo a little bit, but
I think it hindered Forza more than it hindered Halo. Wow,
that's crazy.
I think Forza was on such an uptick. Halo was going to do what Halo did anyway. I don't think Halo was going to last as long just due to the fact that a lot of people were indifferent about the game not having a lot of features there, where Forza shocked everybody with how
you on the I think we talked about this last time you were on the show, but you were on the delay.
I told people from the beginning, I was like, this game shouldn't release in 2021. I was like, and people said, why? I was like, listen, the problems this game has won't be solved in 1 year. And if you love look, I love Halo. Same. I'm happy that Halo is doing as good as it's doing. But let's not kid ourselves and say that Halo wouldn't be better if it was a complete package in 2022.
That's where I was. I know people get mad at you and I and anyone else who says that they would delay, but like I just wanted it to come out at the best it could be. And when you look back at 21, which we could recap 21, but we'll talk about 22 before we end here. But when you look back, like maybe Xbox could have been okay pushing Halo out until the summer, but they've got big plans. Like people are gonna be busy with Redfall and multiplayer, but
it's just the anniversary date threw it. I mean, I get why they did it. They wanted the anniversary date, and when that came up as a lot of people's talking points, I was like, yeah, you're right. I can't go against the FOMO of saying you can't have a Halo game on a 20th anniversary of the game coming out. I mean, you can't really fight that. It just like my whole thing, and I felt like that put undue stress on 343 because I feel like 343 already puts pedal to the metal when it comes to the development of the game and stuff. And then you put a date on it by saying we're holiday 2021. Yeah. If Xbox would have never put a date on it, I do think Xbox would have had an easier time of saying, hey, the game's not ready. We could push it to next year. But since they were so dead set on having that game released during the anniversary, that put more stress on 343 that didn't need to be there. I'm just glad that the game came out and is actually serviceable to the point where people enjoy it and love it. Yeah. But it could have been so much more if they would have just waited another 6-7 months.
And I don't even really play the multiplayer anymore that much, but I loved the campaign. I'm glad I got to play it when I did. And it turned out really great. And the best thing is that 343 delivered they've delivered a great game. The multiplayer, people really like it. The campaign they really liked. Yep. Before they had one or the other. And I feel at this point that they finally are starting to figure it out, I guess. It's got to be a tough thing to take over franchise. Dusty AF with the $5 super chat says, what are the chances of Elden Ring becoming day one on Game Pass? Happy 2022.
Never.
I don't know. I don't think so. Xbox had marketing with them, and then PlayStation got exclusive gameplay reveal at the Game Awards last year. Super weird. So that game's just so big. I don't know. If it was me, I'd grab it, but I don't think they will. Hitman with a $10 super chat. Thank you. Hitman says, Microsoft need to structure the game division more like the Embracer Group so they can handle more division arms. i.e. more development output, don't have to rush, but just more teams and creativity. Yeah. So I don't know much about the Embracer Group, but right now Matt Booty has a really difficult job of managing 23 studios and global publishing, having like a bunch of games in the works. So right now I think they're just trying to give them time and money. So
yeah, I agree.
Lord Star Killer says GoldenEye was a great game. I hope the Xbox version has FPS boost and updated graphics. I think the updated version will be meant to play on Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles, so it'll run at 60. Forte and I are just wondering if it's going to look good.
We don't need. Is it going to be 560p graphics?
Is it going to have like 7 polygons, right?
Oh
like,
man,
I'm trying to remember. Like the characters didn't even really have faces, did they? They like had a nose.
They didn't have hands either.
Yeah, it's like
Roblox out there.
Roblox. That's great. Username with the Australian $2 thank you. He says, how will you react when Microsoft buys Sony? I will be upset. I don't want Microsoft to buy Sony because if you have a full monopoly, then they don't push like they do now. The reason why Xbox is kicking so much butt is because PlayStation has kicked so much butt. So as much as we all console war in our own ways, like I have both consoles and I like to see them bust their butts. That's why PlayStation's buying a bunch of studios.
Gaming would be boring if that happened.
Yeah, and so is social media, right?
That's already arguably boring.
And one more, Hargy Chani says, $5. Thank you, Hargy. He says, my full-time job needs to be playing games to actually be able to play all of these games. We're drowning in awesome games, first party and third party. So, Forte, we've got a bunch of big games like Elden Ring. February's jam-packed. What else is coming out in February that's not exclusive?
Dying Light
2. Yeah.
Dying Light's early in the month. Like you already said, Elden Ring, then the big one, which is Horizon, which comes out in the middle of the month. Yep. There was something else that comes out, right? Oh, Saints Row but didn't it get delayed? They delayed it to April.
When Suicide Squad is that in the fall?
Suicide Squad was in there too. I don't know if it's going to hold that date, but I know Saints Row. I believe Saints Row got delayed out of February because it was in February.
Yeah.
So
there's so many.
It's a crazy month, man. It did. I mean, and even leading up to that month, if you're a huge fan of Nintendo or PlayStation, you know, I think January 28th is Pokemon Arceus. If you're a huge fan of that, another Pokemon game, which is for Nintendo, that's crazy because you're getting 2 remakes and a mainline one at the end of a year and the beginning of a year, which is going to bolster sales for Nintendo. Then for people on PlayStation, if you never got a chance to play the Uncharted stuff, you got Uncharted 4 and you have Lost Legacy that are being brought up to PS5 specs on January 28th too. So that can get you hooked on.
Oh, that's not even playable yet because I was installing it.
Nope, it's not. January 28th. PS5.
Okay, yeah.
So you got that, and that's going to lead you into the next first-party title from them, which is Horizon, and you know who knows what's coming after that? Because like some stuff set it for March. You know, I know you got games like Gran Turismo coming out. I think it's May or something like that. So there's a lot of time out there.
Forza will be in the holiday next to Starfield, so they'll do that again. They'll put a racer next to a big AAA action adventure game, which would be Starfield.
Yep.
So. Yeah, and then
we'll get Call of Duty and stuff again.
Yep. Yeah, people are talking about Sifu. It's just an exclusive to PlayStation, which is a really interesting combat brawler type. It's so weird to try and categorize that, but there's a lot of good stuff. And then there's a bunch of stuff coming to Game Pass. I did a video last week talking about some games that are coming to Game Pass day one, like Plague's Tale Requiem is a pretty big game that's kind of become a cult classic, cult hit. That's coming to Game Pass day and date, and that's on all platforms. And there's just a bunch of really cool stuff. But yeah, thank you so much, Forte, for being here. Well, we had almost 800 people watching live. We tried to cover the topics the best we could. There's just so much unknown. Those 2 games being Killer Instinct, it wouldn't be 2 because they've already had a Killer Instinct 2. I don't know what they'd call it. A Killer Instinct sequel again, and GoldenEye coming to Xbox. That's for sure. There's the Wu-Tang game, and there's a bunch of, which is like something. Could be something really cool. I don't know, but Xbox has a bunch of stuff. They still are standing by that they have 2 unannounced games, something that we'll probably see and showcase at E3, and then will be something getting our hot little hands at the end of the year. So, yeah, it's been really good. But Forte, this is your opportunity to brag about what you're doing on the YouTube space and what you're doing in podcasts and where they can find you. Thank you so much for being on XNC.
Oh, yeah, man. This is great, man. Like, you do an amazing job on the show. I really appreciate the invite. As soon as you said the thing, I was like, oh, are you serious? Yes. I'm off work at 6:00.
I mean, I'm begging you, bro.
No, man, I'm always, I mean, listen, you and the rest of the RDX team have always looked out and helped out with me with stuff that I needed. And I really appreciate that. But, just watching you guys grow, see you guys where you are, it's an inspiration to a lot of people that want to do content creation. So it's always listen to what you guys got to say. So I appreciate it.
We're all friends too, which is
it's cool.
Super
I wish we talked more, but it's like you said, when you're doing your stuff, and then when you want to play games, sometimes you just want to zone out and not have to deal with anything
and hide offline.
And hide offline. And hide offline. So maybe that's what I need to start doing, and then I might do that too. But no, it's great to be here. I appreciate the invite as always. It's Gaming Forte everywhere: Xbox, YouTube, PlayStation, all the different platforms. Check out DPS Podcast. We have been on hiatus for the last 2 weeks. So we'll be back on my channel this Thursday at 9 p.m. Check us out. Me and my homeboy Slumbo Backslap. We do that show. We'll be talking about a lot of stuff that's been going on. And then just Gaming Forte on my YouTube channel. We do Destiny stuff. We do Xbox, PlayStation. We don't really... Not a lot of PlayStation, but a lot of Xbox stuff. So come over through, check it out for that. Going to be getting back to making videos. Now that the holidays is over, I can actually zero in and actually focus on that stuff.
You can breathe now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I have an appreciation like no other for people. And I work in retail, but seeing a lot of these other people, like I'll walk into something like Walmart or Myers or Target during the holidays, and I'm like, this is 10 times worse than I got it. 10 times worse. It's crazy. Because
I'm glad you're not buried, but
people, like, I will always tell you, and this is a secret for retail. If you have a problem with something, go into the situation with a good attitude. Because guess what? If you have a good attitude, 99% of the time, your situation will be taken care of with no hassle whatsoever. It's the 1% that comes in there and act like, oh, I spent thousands of dollars in here and you're going to help me, are the ones that you look at like, I really don't have to. And you can take your game and you can go home. So go into these situations with good attitudes, because trust me, retail workers are really burnt out right now.
And they didn't cause the problem.
They didn't cause the problems, but they will help you with the problem as long as you respect them and give them the respect that they need, and you'll get anything you want from them. But I appreciate it, Colt. This was a great time being on here. I can't wait to come back again. And shout out to everybody in the chat. You guys have been amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I want to get you next time I'll get you back on. I'll get one of our other buddies on here and we'll just have a little party. It'd be good.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. But thanks so much. This is the XNC podcast live on the Colt Eastwood channel. In about a half an hour or so, this will be up on your on-demand audio platforms. So you can enjoy the show tomorrow while you're getting those New Year's resolutions out and, get some exercise on, listen to the show. But thank you so much, chat, for making it amazing. Go follow Forte on Twitter and check out his stuff. Thank you so much. We're going to get out of here. Have a good night, guys, and take care of that backlog, would you? And be nice.
Yoo-hoo!